shift begins like any other. Cookhouse smoke drifts between the timber stacks. Boots move along packed dirt roads. Men settle into the rhythm of the work. The grind of saws, the crack of falling timber, the low mechanical hum that fills a logging camp before the day truly opens up. It is ordinary. It is unremarkable. It is the last morning this place will exist. Beneath the tree line, carved into the earth and reinforced with rock, powder magazines hold 42
ordinary,
tons
I is
of TNT.
unremarkable. Yet,
Explosive
within its
is
dusty
not
veins,
hidden.
the pulse of
It is
industry
simply
beats.
stored the way
Here, the
fuel is
unremarkable
stored,
crafts
way
the very
tools are
framework
stored,
of tomorrow.
because this camp runs
A
on
legacy in
demolition
the
the way
making.
it runs on diesel and daylight. No one questions the proximity. No one has cause to yet. Then the magazines go. The sound is not a roar. It is an erasure. A pressure wave expands outward faster than the human nervous system can register danger, faster than a man can turn his head toward the source. Bunkhouses implode and then scatter. Metal fragments leave the site at velocities measured in artillery terms, not industrial ones. Trees do not fall. They are
The
lifted,
sound to not a
stripped, and
roar.
thrown.
Is
The
it
dirt
erasure?
roads cease to exist as roads. The stacked timber becomes shrapnel. The camp's physical geography rewrites itself in under a second. 64 workers die instantly. There are no alarms. There is no evacuation order. There is no time for either. Miles
What remains
away,
is not a
windows
disaster
shatter
site
their
in any
frames.
conventional
The
sense.
ground shifts with a tremor
What it shows
that
is that the
registers on
complex once
instruments meant
existed.
to measure earthquakes. A smoke column rises vertical
Miles
and dense,
away, windows
carrying
shatter
with
in their
fiber,
frames.
soil, and the remains of men who were on shift minutes before. At the center of the site, the earth is bare. Some bodies are never recovered. Others are found hundreds of feet from their last known position. What remains is not a disaster site in any conventional sense. It is an absence. Where 64 men worked, there is nothing left that bears the shape of human occupation. This is not a battlefield. This is a workplace. And to understand why 42 tons of explosive material sat within lethal range of sleeping quarters and work areas, we must first understand why this camp existed at all, and who decided how it would be built. The nation does not ask where the wood comes from. It asks only that there is enough of it. Railroads require ties by the hundreds of thousands.
At the center of the site,
Cities
the earth
rise
is
on
bare.
beams and joists.
The wreckage stretches as
Factories
far as the
demand
eye can
crates,
see.
scaffolding,
Smoke
fuel.
still rises
Timber
from the
is not
ruins,
harvested.
a silent
it is
witness to the
extracted under
destruction.
deadline at volume.
Some bodies are never
across
recovered.
terrain that does not
The
cooperate.
scale is overwhelming.
Remote logging
We must
camps
press
solve
on.
the logistics.
The families deserve
Move the
answers.
workers to the resource.
Some truths are lost
Eliminate
forever.
transit time.
Others are
Build
found
fast,
hundreds of
build
feet from
cheap,
where they started.
Build with the
The
assumption
force
that
of the
camp will
storm
be
scattered
abandoned
debris
once
across
timber
the
is
entire
gone.
town.
Bunkhouses go
Here,
up in
the
days.
cleanup has only just
Roads
begun.
are cut, not engineered.
It is the absence.
Permanence is never the goal, so investment in permanence, in safety infrastructure, in spacing, in design is never seriously made. Explosives arrive because
This is
the
not a
terrain demands
battlefield.
them. TNT
The battle
clears
is
rock
over, but the scars
outcroppings,
remain.
breaks log jams,
We move through the
levels
ruins,
ground that mechanical
carrying the
equipment
weight of
cannot
what was
reach.
lost.
Properly deployed,
The nation
it
not
replaces weeks
ask
of
where the
manual
wood
labor.
comes from.
It is not a last
It arrives
resort.
on rails
It becomes
from
a
distant
standard tool.
forests, fueling
Then
the relentless
accumulation
march of
begins.
industry.
Resupply
Railroads
to remote
require
sites
ties
is
by the
slow and
hundreds of
expensive.
thousands.
Deliveries are infrequent. Ordering in bulk is practical. What starts as a controlled cache, a few crates,
Timber is not
a
harvested,
manageable
it is
quantity,
extracted.
grows
The ground is
season by
scarred,
season
the air
into
thick
dozens
with the
of
dust
tons
of
stored
progress.
within the operational footprint
Each log
of
a
the camp.
testament to the
No
relentless
single
rhythm of
decision
extraction.
causes this. It is the result of 100 small, reasonable seeming choices compounding over time, each one unremarked. Meanwhile, logging is already killing men. Trees fall without warning. Cable lines snap under tension. Machinery operates without guards. Camps sit hours from the nearest hospital.
Explosives
Death is
arrive because
frequent
the
enough to
terrain
be
demands
planned
them.
around,
Careful with this
not
load, it's
frequent enough
unstable.
to interrupt
Got
output.
it. Moving to the
Nationally,
staging area.
industrial
The terrain
workplaces
here is
kill
brutal.
tens of
Keep it
thousands
steady.
annually.
It becomes
These
standard
deaths
too.
are recorded,
The daily grind of
briefly
hauling,
mourned,
the weight on your
and
shoulders, the endless
categorized as the
repetition.
price of
It all
economic
fades
growth.
into the background,
Workers
just another
are
part of the
replaced.
job.
The
Standard.
work continues.
Then
Men
accumulation
at these camps know the
begins.
danger. They
The
feel it
vast
in the
arsenal
vibration
grows,
underfoot when a charge
shell by
fires
shell,
too close.
as workers
In the smell
toil
of powder
to feed
dust
the machinery
that never
of
fully
war.
clears from a work site.
Logging is already
wages
killing men.
arrive on
Every day
schedule.
is a battle against the
Housing is
laws of
provided.
physics.
Walking away means losing both and starting over with nothing. Risk is not accepted
That
so much
question,
as inherited,
when it is finally
built
forced,
into the terms of
out
employment
of the silence
before
of
the
these
first day of
shelves,
work.
will not be
This
kind
system
to us.
requires no malice to
We must
function.
be ready.
It requires only that
The
no
shift
one in a
begins like
position
any
of
other.
authority looks too
Who to
carefully
blame?
at where the explosives
What
are
waging
stored,
before the disaster?
or how much has accumulated, or how close it sits to sleeping men. That question, when it is finally forced, arrives not through inspection, but through detonation. TNT is not inherently unstable. That is the reassurance that allows it to accumulate. Under the right conditions, dry, cool, separated into limited quantities, handled with precision, it can be stored without incident for extended periods. The right conditions,
Is as
however,
ordinary.
are an
Is as
engineering
unurmikite.
standard. Remote logging camps are not built to engineering standards. They are built to production schedules. The powder magazines
Beneath
here
the
sit
tree
close
line,
to where
carved
the
into the
explosive is
earth.
actually used. That proximity is deliberate. It reduces
Outer
handling
magazines hold
time,
42 tons
keeps the
of
work
TNT.
moving. Structures are reinforced with packed earth, sometimes
Then the
cut
magazines
directly
go.
into a hillside. The design assumes that if something initiates, the blast expands outward into open ground. That assumption holds for small quantities. It does not hold for 42 tons. TNT degrades. Not quickly, not visibly, but continuously. Casings weaken as temperature cycles between day and night. Moisture works into
TNT is
packaging
not
along
inherently
seams that were
unstable.
sealed months earlier in a different climate. The chemistry shifts in ways that no visual inspection reveals. There is no gauge that measures explosive fatigue. There is
They are
no
built to
threshold
production
that registers
schedules.
on a dial, no color change, no smell that sharpens. The material looks the same as it did when it arrived. Movement introduces friction. Handling introduces shock. When one charge initiates prematurely, the pressure it releases can trigger adjacent charges in rapid
Did not hold in
succession.
42 tons.
A sympathetic detonation chain that propagates faster than any human
TNT
response.
degrades.
Once it
What it shows
begins,
detail,
it cannot be
subtle,
interrupted.
material, and visible
The
to
physics
workers.
do not allow for intervention.
Movement introduces
Workers
friction.
pass the storage areas every morning. The ground does not shake. Nothing leaks. Nothing smokes. Each uneventful day is absorbed unconsciously.
The hazard
evidence
doth not
of
announce
safety.
itself.
The magazines have been there for months. Nothing has gone wrong.
The most
Therefore,
dangerous
the
condition
thinking
on
goes,
this site
nothing
produces
will.
no sound.
This is not recklessness. It is the entirely human tendency to read survival as confirmation, to treat the absence of catastrophe as proof that catastrophe is not coming.
The chemistry changes in the dark.
42 tons through one decision. It builds in increments, an extra shipment held
Inspections
over, a
occur,
delivery
but they are
accepted
brief.
early.
Understood. This
A surplus
section
kept
is clear.
rather than returned
Confirmed.
because
Moving to
return
the next.
logistics are complicated and the next job will need it anyway. Training is informal. Documentation is incomplete. No one carries total
There it
accountability
blows!
for the
Look at
aggregate
that
quantity
smoke!
stored on site.
That's some force!
The hazard does not announce itself. It waits in plain sight, passed every day without remark. What makes it lethal is that the men living and working beside it have no way of knowing how close the threshold already is. The most
No
dangerous
enforcement
condition on this
mechanism
site
exists.
produces no sound. TNT does not announce its own degradation.
The men on
Moisture
shift
that has
not
worked
know.
into a casing leaves no visible stain on the outside. Heat cycling that stresses the material day after day leaves no crack on the surface that a walking inspection would catch. The chemistry changes in the dark, in sealed containers, in storage areas that smell of damp soil and old timber.
A shift or
and
most
nothing
of one
visible
erased
marks
in
the difference
seconds.
between stable and critical.
What remains is a void
Inspections
filled with
occur,
fragments.
but they are brief
Hands
and they are
now
shallow.
search the ruins
An
for what was
inspector
lost.
walks the perimeter. He
The site
checks
is secured.
paperwork.
Deploy the Manette.
He notes
Understood. I'll handle the
quantities.
calibration.
His written
Readings are spiking.
recommendations
It's
use
the anomaly.
language calibrated not
Document
to stop
everything. This could be the
operations, but to
breakthrough.
acknowledge
Agreed.
concern
Let's
without
secure the
triggering
perimeter.
one.
The cause
Monitor
the named.
conditions,
The
exercise
file is
care,
closed.
ensure
Administrative
proper ventilation.
closure replacing
These phrases
accountability.
are filed. They do not reduce the stockpile by a single crate. Workers
Anomaly.
are not
Rare
ignorant
failure.
of the risk.
What is the
They
disaster
know what
assessment?
explosives do.
Corporate
They have
framing of
seen
disaster
controlled detonations.
consequences.
The concussive
Control the
thud
narrative.
felt in the chest.
Isolate the event.
The pressure wave that flattens undergrowth. The sharp chemical smell that lingers after a charge fires. But danger without immediacy becomes background. When nothing happens today and nothing happened yesterday, and the magazines look exactly as they always have, the mind reclassifies proximity to explosive storage from active threat to ambient condition. It is
Distance
simply part
does
of
not
the
just
job.
isolate these sites.
Meanwhile,
It connects
small
them to
practical
larger
decisions
networks
accumulate.
hidden from the
A
outside
storage
world.
area is partially
This is the
repurposed
strategic
to free up
value of
space.
remote
An
isolation.
incoming shipment is
It is not an
accepted
outlier,
and held
it is a
rather than
repetition.
delayed.
We
The
have seen
handling
this
step is
desolation
shortened
before.
to keep the
The
afternoon
patterns
schedule
persist,
intact.
etched in our
Each
history,
decision
a
is made by
repetition we
someone
cannot
under
ignore.
pressure to
They
maintain
sleep
output,
inside it.
and each one is, in isolation, defensible. Together, They closed the margin that was keeping 42 tons of degrading explosive material from reaching initiation threshold. No enforcement mechanism exists to interrupt this process. There is no authority empowered to mandate a stockpile reduction. No regulatory body
run
with the
12
reach and
hours and
frequency
longer.
to catch what accumulates between visits. The system is built to favor continuity. Shutdown costs money. Paperwork costs nothing. The men on shift do not know that the margin has already closed. They move through the camp as they always do. Past the magazines, past the stacked timber, through the dust and the diesel smell of an ordinary working morning. This pattern is not unique to this camp. It has appeared before in other industries on other sites with the same
Familiarity,
result.
not breed recklessness.
This is not the first time. That is the fact that makes the destruction of this camp not merely a tragedy, but an indictment. Industrial records from logging operations, construction depots, and mining sites across the previous decades document the same sequence repeatedly.
Others are in the bunks
Bulk
between
explosive
shifts.
storage, insufficient separation, accumulated quantity, and then a shift, or most of one, erased in seconds. Each event is investigated. Reports are filed. Witnesses are interviewed while the ground is still disturbed and the smell of burnt earth and chemical residue still
The
carries
detonation
on the wind.
begins at the single point.
Investigators arrive with a mandate to identify cause, and they do. A spark,
One charge
a friction
initiates.
event,
Then we
a
proceed.
structural failure in a storage wall, a handling error on a specific morning.
What in the name of
cause
science
named.
is this detonation?
The file is
The schematic
closed.
is unraveling.
The system that created the conditions for
For
that
practical
cause to matter
purposes,
is not
simultaneous.
examined, because examining the system would require conclusions that cost money and slow
Wood
production.
does not burn.
Companies receive these findings and issue the same characterization. Anomaly. Rare failure. Unforeseeable combination of factors. This language is not accidental. It forecloses redesign. Protects operations elsewhere from mandatory review. It allows the same storage practices, the same accumulation logic, the same proximity between workers and explosive mass
Efficiency
to
of
continue
design
at
has
every other
eliminated
site
the
that has
spatial
not yet
margin.
Detonated. Engineering recommendations do circulate. Reduce stored quantities. Increase separation distances. Improve magazine construction. These recommendations are technically sound and operationally inconvenient. They require capital expenditure. They require scheduling adjustments. They slow the pace of extraction. They are deferred, reviewed at a later date that does not arrive before the next preventable disaster. The geography of these events shares consistent features. Remote locations place them beyond routine regulatory reach. Delayed emergency response means that by the time outside help arrives, documentation has already been shaped by those with operational interest in the outcome. Distance does not
landmarks are
just
gone.
isolate these sites from hospitals, it isolates them from scrutiny. The assumption at the center of each site is identical, that the explosive material stored here has been stored before, without incident, and will continue to be. That survival is evidence of safety. That the margin, wherever it currently sits, is sufficient. The logging camp at the center of this story fits every point of
No
this
longer
pattern
holds
without
on
exception.
shape of human
It is
occupation.
not an outlier. It is a repetition. And the danger it carries does not stop at the edge of the work site. The men at this camp do not commute to the danger.
They are not searching
sleep
a
inside
workplace.
it. Bunkhouses sit within the same operational footprint as fuel depots, tool sheds,
The final count
and
reaches
powder
64.
magazines.
Confirmed.
The
64
layout
exactly.
is deliberate.
Agreed. The records align.
Proximity
Proceed with
reduces
certification.
transit time between rest and work, between storage and deployment. Every minute saved is output gained. The cost of that efficiency is measured in distance, and the distance here is not enough. Shifts run 12 hours and longer. Men rise before the forest lightens and return after it goes dark again.
Families
The
receive the
work
news
is physical
one by
in the way
one.
that exhausts
What
the
news?
body below the level of
Mobilization
thought.
for the
The
war.
sustained vibration of machinery through the hands and arms, the percussion of felled timber hitting ground, the sharp crack of a controlled charge that compresses the air in the chest. Fatigue becomes the baseline. The mind narrows to the task immediately in front of it.in this state. Explosives become routine. TNT is handled,
We must act now.
repositioned,
Agreed. The industry must be
stacked, and
protected.
accounted
Then we
for
leave
as a
with
normal
conclusions
part
that
of the
protect
day.
it. Let's go.
It is treated with practical
physical
care,
site offers
the way
limited
any heavy,
evidence.
expensive tool is treated, but fear requires cognitive space that exhaustion has already consumed. Familiarity
Good.
does not
Check
breed
for the cargo
recklessness.
logs.
It breeds the quiet,
This fracture
functional
is
suppression
key.
of risk awareness
Agreed.
that makes it
It's consistent
possible
with
to do the
impact
job
stress.
at all.
Check for residue.
64 workers are present when the magazines detonate. Some are running equipment. Some are in the middle of repair work, tools
treated
in
as
hand.
standard operating
Others
conditions.
are in their bunks between shifts, resting in the closest thing to private
Language
space
in
the
the
camp
final
provides.
report is precise
None
in its
receive
vagueness.
a warning. No exclusion zone exists at a scale that would have mattered. The force that reaches them travels faster than any evacuation order could have been
Elsewhere,
formed,
the magazines stay
spoken,
full.
or obeyed. Economic structure holds these men in place as firmly as any fence. Wages arrive on schedule. Housing and meals are included. Walking away from the camp means walking away from all three simultaneously, in terrain that offers no
The
immediate
economics
alternative.
are not
Raising
complicated.
concerns about storage conditions risks being marked as difficult, unreliable, not worth keeping on. Silence is the more rational choice within the system as it operates. Families in towns and settlements depend on what these men send home. The danger is not hidden from them. It is simply the condition under which the income exists. When the failure arrives, it does not announce itself. The detonation begins at a single point. The precise trigger is never conclusively
The individual voice
established.
is
Friction
structurally
from a shifting
silenced.
load, heat stress on a compromised casing, structural collapse within the magazine itself. In a system where 42 tons of TNT occupy a single operational footprint, the initiating cause is almost beside the point. What matters is what the conditions
The reforms
allow it to
arrive.
become point
Let me
one
see the
charge
details.
initiates.
The changes
pressure
are
wave
outlined
it
here.
produces
We'll need to review
travels
this.
through the adjacent stored explosive mass in milliseconds. Sympathetic detonation, where the shock from one charge is sufficient to initiate the next, propagates through the entire stockpile in a cascade that human intervention
This
cannot
anchor
reach,
is how
let
industrial
alone
safety
interrupt.
law is built.
The energy release is not sequential. It is, for
The site
practical
itself is
purposes,
reclaimed slowly by the forest.
simultaneous.in under 1 second. Decades of accumulated chemical
The
potential
forest not
converts
record
into
what
mechanical
happened here.
force. The pressure generated exceeds the failure threshold of every material
Memory
in the
then is
camp's
the only structure
construction.
that remains.
Wood does not burn first.
As the
It
world
is
around us
compressed
shifts and
then torn
fades,
apart.
memory endures.
Steel deforms.
A quiet anchor
Earth
in the
that
relentless
has been
flow of
compacted
time.
by months of foot traffic and machinery lifts and redistributes. The sound of the explosion, traveling at the speed of sound, arrives after the destruction is already complete for anyone within lethal range.
The risk was installed around
Workers
them by
closest
others.
to the storage area do not experience the explosion. Their nervous systems do not have time to register the initiating event before the pressure wave ends them. The body at close range is not struck by the blast so much as overtaken by it. Pressure and heat acting simultaneously, faster than pain. Those at greater distance are reached by debris. Timber sections accelerated to velocities that make them functionally indistinguishable from artillery fragments, metal components sheared from machinery and structures, earth displaced at force. The camp's layout, designed to keep workers close to materials and equipment, ensures that no one is far enough from the source to survive the primary wave within the site perimeter. There is no designated shelter.
The
no
sound to
blast
not a
wall
roar.
positioned between the
Is it
magazines
erasure?
and the bunkhouses. Efficiency of design has eliminated the spatial margin that might have meant the difference between death and injury, between injury and survival. The explosion does not damage the camp. It removes it. Where structures stood, the ground is bare and deformed.
Others are found
the
hundreds of
geometry
feet
of the
from
site
where they
has
started.
changed.
The force
This
of the
is not
storm
disorder.
scattered debris
It is
across the
physics
entire
executing
town.
completely
Here,
in a
the
space that
cleanup
was
has
never
only just
designed to
begun.
contain it.
Some bodies are
The
never
force
recovered.
does not stop at the
The
camp's
scale
edge.
is overwhelming.
The blast wave
We
does
must
not
press
stop
on.
at the edge of the
The
camp.
families deserve
There
answers.
is no edge anymore
Some
in
truths
any
are lost
meaningful
forever.
sense. The pressure front expands outward through the surrounding forest, and the trees it meets do not bend. They snap at the base or are pulled from the ground entirely, root mass and all, and carried.
Then
Heavy
accumulation
timber
begins.
sections from the camp's own
The vast
structures
arsenal
land hundreds
grows,
of feet into
shell
the
by
forest.
shell, as
Smaller metal
workers
fragments
toil
travel
to feed
farther
the
still,
machinery of war.
moving through air
Railroads
and vegetation
require
without
ties by the
resistance
hundreds
until
of
they meet something
thousands.
solid enough to stop them. Where heat and displaced fuel meet in the seconds following the primary detonation, secondary fires begin. They are not explosions. They are the quiet aftermath. Smoldering ignitions that spread through debris fields and dry undergrowth, adding smoke to a column already visible from a significant distance. The shockwave travels through the ground as well as the air. It is felt before it is heard by
The hazard
anyone
doth not
standing in
announce
range.
itself.
Miles away, windows fracture in their frames. The tremor registers on instruments calibrated for geological events. Communities that have no immediate knowledge of what has occurred
The site
feel
is secure.
the event
Deploy
in
the
their
Manette.
walls and
Understood.
floors
I'll handle the
before any
calibration.
messenger or
Readings are
signal
spiking.
reaches
It's the
them.
anomaly.
The explosion announces
Document
itself
everything. This could
across
be the
a wide
breakthrough.
radius
Agreed.
to people who
Let's
do not
secure the
yet know
perimeter.
that 64 men have just been killed. When the first responders reach the site, they encounter a fundamental navigation. The landmarks are gone. Roads that were cut into the terrain are buried under debris or simply no longer exist as passable surfaces. The maps carried by responders describe a camp that no longer occupies the coordinates assigned to it. At the center, where the magazine stood, there is a crater. Smoke rises from it. The ground around it
They
is
sleep
unstable,
inside it.
compacted in some areas and fractured in others, with debris distributed in patterns that record the direction and force of the initial wave. Search efforts begin under dangerous conditions. Fires continue to smolder beneath surface debris. The ground shifts unevenly. Establishing where specific men were working or resting at the moment of detonation requires reconstruction from fragments of information. The last known assignment, a shift log, an account from someone who was not present.
One charge
containment
initiates,
structure built
then
to
we
the
proceed.
standards of this camp could have absorbed or redirected 42 tons of TNT releasing simultaneously. That is not a failure of execution. It is a failure of the premise that such quantities could be safely stored at this proximity in the first place. The force has exhausted itself. What remains is silence, smoke, and the work of counting what has been lost. The rescue teams move through a site that no longer holds the shape of human occupation. There are no walls to orient by, no roof lines, no roads that lead where they used to lead. The ground beneath their boots is fractured and soft in places, compacted and scorched
Good.
in others.
Check for the cargo logs.
Smoke rises from buried
We
debris.
must act now.
The air
Agreed.
carries
The industry
smell of
must be
burnt
protected.
wood,
Then we leave with
disturbed
conclusions
earth,
that protect it.
and
Let's
something
go.
chemical that does not fully dissipate. They are not searching a workplace. They are searching a crater that used to be
This
one.
anchor
The
is
final
how
count
industrial
reaches
safety law
64.
is built.
64 workers killed. From the blast center, there are no survivors. Some bodies are recovered whole, positioned where the pressure wave found them. Others are located in fragments distributed across the debris field and into the forest